Hello everyone, this is the Gamakay SN75 and in this video I'll be building it, reviewing it and giving you a sound test so that you can decide if you want to buy this or not. Just before we get started, if you enjoy this video, please remember to like and subscribe, and if you want to give your own input or an opinion on this keyboard or any suggestions for what I can do better for next video or for future videos, please leave them in the comments below. All the links for everything that I've talked about in this video will be in the description below, so please make sure to use those if you want to purchase anything. Without further ado, let's get to Starting with the keyboard, we'll get this cover slip off and get the box open. We'll begin with the accessories, which include a thick white USB-C cable, which in my opinion is quite tacky as it's difficult to bend and doesn't match with the board at all. An accessories pouch, which has a keycap and switch puller. A brush, which is really nice to see, an Allen key having a hex and a Phillips side, and gaskets, which we'll talk about later. There's also a thin, flexible aluminium plate. Mine did come bent and warped in shipping, however, it's still not a bad option if yours is in good condition. Otherwise, it is identical to the polycarbonate plate pre-installed in the keyboard. Speaking of, this is the Gamakay SN75 itself. It's an acrylic keyboard in an exploded 75% layout. I got the black version, but it also comes in white, clear and a sequin colorway. It's £49 on Aliexpress and the Gamakay website. You can use code SPHINX at checkout for 5% off on the Gamakay website. My only real issues with the board are the obvious and clear seams running all around the board between the top and the bottom case, and the fact that it's only around 200 grams, which makes it really light. Additionally, the brass coloured accents are present in every colourway, and it doesn't look like you can change them as of now. These problems don't really take away from how much I like the board, especially due to its features and its customizability. After a quick knock test, we can determine that there's no real pinging or reverberation, and the board sounds quite full. I then spend the better part of the next 30 seconds attempting to remove the dongle from the allocated hole. It's really tight in there and I couldn't remove it on the first try. Anyway, we'll get the board open with a little tap. The top and bottom case are held together by 10 identical hex screws. The ones at the top are very deep in the case, so require a very long bit, such as the Allen key provided to reach them. Inside the keyboard we have a silicone dampening pad with a 3100 mAh battery double-sided taped on, which was a little bit annoying to deal with. Connecting the bottom case and the PCB are two ribbon cables, one to the USB daughter board and one to the battery. After the small struggle required to get these detached, we can have a look at the bottom case. The bottom case is very thick with minimal empty space. It has a very nice texture thanks to the acrylic as well. The silicone pad also does fill the space a little bit, but I might try later on without it, as it doesn't seem entirely necessary. Now that we have the bottom case fully removed, we can finally attempt to remove the dongle from the bottom case. It's a very tight fit, so I would be careful with pushing the dongle in too far. The daughter board has a USB-C port and a switch, which are covered from the outside with a beautiful brass cover plate. To get the top case off, the knob does have to be removed. It takes a little bit of effort, but what you have is a metal knob with a brass appearing finish. It's really well machined, and it has a plastic cap underneath which actually clips in to the rotary knob. Looking at the plate and PCB assembly, we can see that they're held together by 6 screws. The polycarbonate plate provided supports both gasket mount and top mount with the sock gaskets in the pouch. It's almost like having 4 boards with the aluminium polycarbonate plates and the gasket and top mount to choose from, all for the price of one. There's also a thick layer of plate foam between the PCB and plate, and a thin layer of PE foam between the PCB and where the switches would go. These are both white, so are difficult to see in the video. The board also supports both plate clip-in and PCB screw-in stabilizers. We'll remove the plate with a little tap, and we'll take a look at the PCB. The PCB has south-facing 5-pin hot swap sockets with perky RGB and underglow, although it is difficult to see on the black version. It is VIA compatible, which is really nice to see on a board of this price point. Unfortunately, I haven't managed to get it working on mine, but that's probably because I'm not smart enough. The PCB supports 3 Bluetooth connections simultaneously, and a wired and a 2.4 GHz wireless mode. The screw-in stabs seem to already have a decent amount of lube, so I'll build it first without hand lubing it. Anyway, we'll quickly put the keyboard all back together and then we'll take a look at the switches I chose for this build are the Gateron Milky Yellow Pros due to their great price-to-performance ratio. The factory lube 5-pin linear switch has a 55-gram actuation and a 63.5-gram bottom mount. The polycarbonate and nylon mixed top and bottom housing with a POM stem leads to virtually zero wobble. We'll now test if they require any hand lubing. To keep a fair test, I'll be using the same switch in the same place, once lubed and once pre-lubed. So this is pre-lubed. And this is the same but lubed. In my opinion, no filming or lubing is really required as they're very smooth already. Although, if you listen close enough, there is a slight amount of spring ping, so bag lubing the springs might be something that you want to do. The RGB also shines through beautifully. After testing the board and seeing that it works just fine, we can finally get onto for keycaps. I chose to go with the clones of the beautiful GMK set called Evil Dolch from Aliexpress. Now obviously there are issues with buying clones, but as long as they're not really copying any of the novelty or art, there isn't really an issue. A lot of cheap keycap sets can be very low quality, however this one is quite surprisingly very good. It's got thick double shot ABS with very clear and crisp legends. This set is cherry profile and supports basically any layout you can imagine. Links to this set and similar keycap sets will be in the description down below. But let's hear how it sounds in the The keyboard felt great to type on. It was very bouncy thanks to the gasket mount and the switches felt really smooth. However, I wasn't 100% happy with the sound as it was too high pitched for my liking. There was also some rattling in the stabilizers, so I stuck some Krytox 205G0 in from the outside. I also foam modded the spacebar to fill it out a little bit more. This surprised me as it made a lot more difference than I expected, making the spacebar sound a lot deeper than it was before. I then put 3 layers of tape mod on the back of the PCB. Now please enjoy the final sound test. Subscribe.